Okay, you guys, this video is actually for my kids. Since I moved to Vancouver, Washington, I posted some pictures of some of the meals I've made being here. The response from them is, why didn't you cook like that when you were here? And we sure do miss your cooking. What's the recipe? My biggest problem is I'm kind of a old school cooker. I guess that comes from my mom and my grandmother. I don't really necessarily measure anything. Everything I do is kind of on the fling or on the fly, I guess you would say. I use what's in the cabinets. Sometimes we go to the store to get some special ingredients. So I'm just basically walking through with them about the ingredients I use, some of the preps, and the importance about it. One of the very important things you have to remember is always start off with a clean kitchen. Very important. Always make sure your kitchen is organized as well, so everything is reachable for you. And be happy. If you're in a bad mood, I've noticed with myself, can't do it, can't pull it off. I don't care how much I read the instructions or I go by it, it is not going to come out right, especially the way I want it to come out. Be in a good mood, be in your happy spot. It's not a chore, it's a treat. This is out of love and kindness. This is for your family. So usually with me, my kids know me better. Might find a glass of wine in the kitchen, and I'm usually jamming out to music. And also a lot of the meals I make sure I make extras. Everything that you can freeze in the freezer or something for Doug to take to lunch. That way, if you got plenty of leftovers, you don't feel like cooking, hey, you still got a good meal in the freezer. So I'm going to kind of piece this together one step at a time. Again, this is not a professional video, you guys. This is for my kids. And I'll be posting some more stuff up here just briefly. What I start off with, this again, I'm reminding you, is just for my kids because they keep on asking me what I usually cook with. So I'm going to make beef enchiladas. I think I clarified that earlier today. Now what you're going to start off with, let me start off with the vegetables. I have grabbed a red pepper, green's fine, bell pepper. I have my onion here, depending on your flavor of onion you like. I have garlic. I like to use the fresh garlic if I can. Then I have a little over a pound of hamburger. As you can see, we already used some from last night's meal. For my seasonings, I like to do the black pepper. I'm going to use onion powder if need to, garlic powder if I need to, and for a little bit of spice, you don't need a lot, is I'm going to have the cayenne pepper. Now for your other bases, I usually have the diced tomatoes, and then I'm going to go ahead and use some low-fat black beans. Just grab the low-fat because they're on sale. Don't judge me, people. Enchilada sauce, mild. I know that other people like them hot. I like it mild, so you can always spice it up with some of your ingredients. Also, I have some cheddar jack cheese that I grabbed from the store, and I like to use the flour shells instead of the corn. That's just my preference, and you get a lot more in there, more big bang for your buck on that. And then also with everything else that I made last night, this is my homemade white cheese queso dip. I can explain to my kids later. I have saved some in there. It was made from last night. This has a lot of good cheeses and spicy seasonings in it as well that I am going to use. Okay, you guys, next step, after you have everything you know that you need for your ingredients, I will do the prep. The most important things is to make sure you got a clean working area. I've got my cutting board and your prep. So what I have are my 3 dishes, not fancy. This is just recyclable dishes I got from the grocery store with vegetables in it, cleaned out. Okay, and I'm going to start off with the onions, and then I'm going to do my red bell pepper, and I am going to do the garlic. So, and remember with the onions, a lot of people know this. I'm not trying to make you feel stupid or anything. Well, I would have a full onion, but Doug used half of it last night in cooking. So make sure that when you cut it, you get this outside peel off, because you don't want that. That's not going to be good. And it's really hard for me to do this one-handed as well. So make sure that the outside layer is taken off, and go ahead and dice it up. Any size is going to work. I know a lot of professional people say that if it's the same size, it's going to help with the flavoring, but who cares about that? Just go ahead and dice it up really good. So fresh garlic, not everybody uses them. It's a lot easier to use from the can. You can do that as well, but the fresh garlic for me tastes a lot better. So as you saw before, it started off in a clove. I broke it off from that clove to get the sections. And then what I did was I cut off that end piece Everybody does this differently. There's really no right, wrong way, especially when you're cooking at home. So I've got 2 pieces. Sorry about the video stuff here. Basically what I do to get it out of the shell, I will simply cut off the end and I will press down on it. Sometimes it's a little harder than usual. Yes, make sure that your hands are washed. Okay, that one's not helping me out much. Usually when you do that, see how the outside starts coming out? It's kind of like an egg. You just kind of crush the shell and you take that off just like that. Once it's cleaned, then you do what everything else. This one, when you cut it up on your garlic, make sure that you dice it really, really fine, because garlic can tend to be a little bit spicy for some people when you get the big chunks, okay? Aha, I'm playing with the phone. New feature, by the way. Trying to figure out how to do this. Okay, so then, like I said, we have our prep. We have our onions, red peppers, garlic, okay? Next thing we're going to also need is, I want you to get out your diced tomatoes with the chili. I don't know, it's coming in a little fuzzy on that. And I want you to get your cayenne pepper, your garlic powder, black pepper, onion powder, and of course your beef out. You're going to need a somewhat good sized pan to do this. So I have my skillet. I don't have a bigger pan than this. Wish I did. That would be really excellent. You're going to need your oil. Vegetable oil is absolutely fine if you want to use that. I'm kind of a cheapskate, so you kids know I'm going to actually use some oil that I've kind of recycled through my cooking. A lot of people won't do this. They think it's going to ruin the flavor, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. It kind of helps enhance everything. And then, of course, your spatula. Typical spatula. I prefer wooden spoons. I'm weird. Again, I like it for some reason. I like it better than anything else. So what I'm going to do is you're just going to slightly coat the pan. You don't want it too much, okay? And then we'll walk through the steps. I guess I should explain why I actually put a little bit of oil in the pan for my hamburger. A lot of times a hamburger has a lot of grease. But since I don't know why we do it. Doug likes the leaner meat. I always like to have a little bit grease in with that leaner meat because you don't want to burn it. So when you start off, don't put it on too high at all. Okay, you don't want it burned, but you want it to kind of savor and cook slower. It always works out best when you do that. And again, I apologize about the video going back and forth. So what you're going to do, and again, I'm doing this one-handed. I want you to go ahead and put your hamburger in there. Oh, yeah, make sure you get the paper off because that's not what you want. Something I always do. Okay, after you somewhat brown this a little bit, I want you to go ahead and dump in basically your onions, your red peppers, and your garlic. Season it slightly. Don't use the cayenne yet, but just put a little bit of your powder, both of your powders, and your black pepper. I can't give you measurements. I mean, just kind of put it in there. See visually. Don't overdo it, because you can always taste your food as you're going to see how it is. And do not put in your diced tomatoes yet. Your diced tomatoes, you're not going to put those in until everything is browned and cooked. Same with your cayenne pepper, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and continue. I'm going to brown this, add everything, and then I'll show you a picture. Okay, so the beef is nice and browned. I went ahead and put in the vegetables, and I also put some of my black pepper in again. I just kind of put it over the top. So it looks about right to me. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put in some of the onion powder. Again, I don't measure. I'm just giving you an idea of how much I think is going to be necessary. And then here, again, I'm going to sprinkle over some of the garlic powder, onion powder. Kind of looks like this. Basically what I do. So then what you're going to do is just kind of stir this up. Let it saute just a little bit to get in that flavor. After that is done, I'll show you what to do next. Okay, kids, as you see, I didn't really overcook this. The reason for it, I don't want the vegetables to be like mush, because you're going to still have to put everything in the oven and it's going to cook thoroughly good, alright? After this is done, like I said, I'm going to put in my, what is this? The diced tomatoes with green chilies. And again, this is my own way of doing it. Not everybody does it, and as you can tell, after I'm dropping things on the floor, this is a lot of food. And the reason why I do this with a lot of food is the fact that I like to freeze things, make leftovers. Whatever's left over, this would be great to make chili. I mean, it's endless what you can do with this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add some of that cayenne pepper. Now, this is for taste testing. This gives it just a little bit of a spice. It's not going to be so bad to where you take a bite and you have to have water or milk right away. This is just enough to build some of the heat. I'm going to stir this up. After you stir it up, I want you to put your heat on low, maybe low to 2. Put a cover on it. You're going to let this sit for maximum 5 minutes, and then we'll go from there. Okay, you guys, we're ready for the next step. What I did was I took that meat out of the pan, and I went ahead and put it in a bowl, and I set the lid on top of it. That way it doesn't dry out. It's keeping the flavors in it. It's still cooking while it's in there. I'm going to use the exact same pan I used before. I just washed it out. No reason to use a bunch of dirty dishes. It's such a headache. It's not too bad if you clean as you go, though. The next step we're going to be doing is I want you to make sure you have your burritos out, or your corn tortillas, I should say. Corn or flour. Like I said, I did the flour tortillas. You want a nice sized pan, and you want to get your enchilada sauce out. And I will be taking pictures for the steps of what you're going to be doing next. Okay, what I did with the enchilada sauce, I went ahead and opened it up, and I have my big baking pan here, and I just went ahead and put a light coat on the bottom of this, okay? And then in a bigger bowl, a mixing bowl, I put some of it in the bowl. You'll see why in a little bit. And then just a little bit left in the can. That is going to kind of go on the top after everything's done. At the same time after that's done, I went back over to the oven and I again coated my pan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly brown your tortilla shells. I like to have my tortilla shells at room temperature. It's just a lot easier for me. On hot days, you don't necessarily want them too hot because they'll fall apart, but if they're too cold, they will break on you as well. So what I'm going to do, like I said again, I'm just going to go ahead and lightly toast this. So I pretty much only went ahead and browned 2 of them. Actually, one of these steps I haven't ever done before, so we're going to see how well, and it's been a couple of years too. I have everything out ready to go. We still have our meat here. I went ahead and got our shredded cheese out. There is a homemade cheese queso cheese dip that I made last night. I went ahead and got the black beans out, and I heated them up in the bowl a little bit. When they're cold, they're really hard to spread. Let me see, what am I forgetting? Oh, yeah, pretty much you want everything out and ready. So what you're going to do with this is you don't want to make them too crisp. You still want them pliable. They're going to be warm, a little bit hard. But you're going to take it and dump it in this bowl, basically dump, I should say. Just kind of coat it. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you might use up more than you think. But you still got some in the pan, too. This is just more for flavoring. I don't want to use too much. I actually like it when my shells are a little crisper. Okay? And then just go ahead and place it then in your bowl. At this time, you're going to take your toppings that you want, and you're going to spread it. So I'm going to go ahead and just take Snapchat pictures of that one and see what you think. Okay, you guys, we are about at the very end. As you see, I have all the enchiladas in there. It made about 6 in the big pan. Now, what I want you to do next is you're going to take any of the leftover enchilada sauce you have, pour it over them, and then you're just basically going to sprinkle it with cheese. Pretty much a little bit ago, I went ahead and preheated my oven at 350. Usually what I end up cooking on. And as you can also tell, I've got a lot of the mixture of the meat left over. Again, I'm going to go ahead and proportion this, and I am going to go ahead and freeze it so I can use it for a meal later on this week. Less prep for me anyway, right? Okay, you guys, so basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to put mine in the refrigerator for now because I have company coming over about 5 or 6. once you pop it in the oven, it should take maybe a half an hour. Just keep an eye on it. Wait till the cheese melts to the way you like it. Don't overdo it. You don't want to burn the cheese. That's never good. Put as much or as little as you want on it. I'm thinking a half an hour. That's generally how long I have it. So anyway, that's about it I have to say on that. I love you guys. I hope this helped out a little bit. Now I'm going to edit this and see how it turns out. Peace out and love ya. Bye.